Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 9, Episode 5, DJI Sale and Product Delays. Hope everybody is well. I'm sorry. I don't know why I look incredibly white tonight. Don't ask me. No, I didn't bleach myself, okay? So let's get that out of the road. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Let's jump in and greet everybody here. Looks like we got a full house as per usual. I got to say this. I miss Warren, okay? I know you all do too, so Warren, we miss you. God bless you. USA Drone Flyer, Drone Shots Jody. Let's see who else. Bud Bieber, welcome, Bud. Lauren, welcome. Let's see, Johnny is here. Welcome, Johnny. RJ Redding, Drone Angles. Who else we got here? Art, welcome. John Flynn, welcome, John. Let's see who else we got. Okay. Steve Porter, welcome. Good to see you. Okay. You see what I'm wearing here? Okay. I moved to Florida 15 years ago. So we got a really important wedding anniversary coming up that we're going to be celebrating our 15th. And that's coming up in about a little over a week, 8 days from today. So, and we got big plans for this weekend. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. It has been coldest, it's the coldest it has been since I moved to Florida. Okay. Yesterday morning on my way to Starbucks. All right. I'm normally, there's always humidity in the air. So I'm running my wipers, clean the windshield. Windshield wasn't cleaning. There was frost on the window here. Okay. It was 28 degrees yesterday. It's been probably that for at least 4 or 5 mornings. Okay. At least 28 degrees. I think it's gone down to as low as 24 overnight here. And if you guys watched the Stadium Classic the other night, Sunday night, which was from Tampa where the Buccaneers play, it was very windy on top of it being cold. So, I mean, it was the perfect recipe for an outdoor game. It was very cold. So, and they said the ice was good to skate on. So, yeah, it's just been absolutely positively just like, wow. I mean, I'm having to wear sweaters. I'm having to wear long sleeve stuff all the time. Of course, Valerie's wearing a sweater and then a parka and then another sweater on top of that. No, I'm just kidding. But no, our furnace, in Florida, we have electric furnaces, okay, for the most part. And we're keeping it at 72, which I think is pretty reasonable. That thing has been nonstop running in the morning, okay? Usually by about 10 o'clock or so, it'll shut off. But, I mean, it was just going, and it wasn't stopping, and it was just, wow. What can I say? I mean, it's just – and, of course, I was thinking about going out to fly this weekend. The weather was on Saturday. We had wind and rain, and it felt like we felt like we were up in Ohio visiting the kids. It was horrible on Saturday. Sunday, the sun was out. But it was about, and I forgot to look at the app. I think winds aloft for about 45, 50 miles an hour. It was intolerable. And the wind really hasn't died down. It's been really bad. So yeah, that's kind of my beef about the wind. We have our 15th wedding anniversary coming up this Saturday. We're going to exchange some gifts and some cards, and we're going to go to Melting Pot. I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but that's our favorite place to go out to eat for a special occasion by far. And I requested a booth in an area that's private and set off from other ones. And if you know how Melting Pot works, that's really nice. It's very, very romantic. But one of the problems is our anniversary is like 3 days before Valentine's Day. So what happens is if you get inside the window at Melting Pot in terms of their reservations of Valentine's Day, you have to pay upcharges for a rose package and other things. And they tack on all this needless. That's like pinstripes on a car kind of thing. So, all right, enough of all that. Okay, yeah, melting pot is good, Johnny. Absolutely, absolutely. Got several things to talk about tonight, and we're gonna, we're gonna kind of get caught up on what's going on with the Pocket 4, and if we've heard anything about the Avata 360, which is kind of driving me nuts. And I know because I say, and one of the things I do each week, I get a ton of questions each week. Okay, whether through the groups or through email, and one of the things that really has kind of stood out, and on X, on Twitter as well too. One of the things that have been stood out is, where's the Avata 360? I'm like, your guess is as good as mine right now. I mean, we've seen what we thought were product boxes of it. We've heard pricing on it, and here we sit, and it's yeah. So who knows? I mean, I just we're gonna talk that up a little bit here, but the first thing that I want to talk about is, and you probably saw, DJI has so many drones on sale right now, and obviously on Amazon, and it's great that Amazon is picking up and selling their drones. I mean, I don't know about you guys, some of these prices are just absolutely insane. And what I want to show you, they had an article today. It was on the Mini 3, okay, and I can't believe this price. I mean, it's just absolutely too good. Now, I'm one of those ones, I don't want to pass up a good deal, but I'm kind of saving up for the Avata 360, okay? Lowest ever DJI Mini 3 drone deal slashes prices by $144, okay? The base DJI Mini 3 with the RC N1 controller is down to $335 from $449, while the version with DJI's premium controller featuring a built-in HD display is now $439, down from $549, which is $100 off. If you want the full experience, the Fly More combo, which adds 2 extra batteries, a charging hub, and a shoulder bag, has fallen to $575 from $719. Okay, that's just it. I mean, I don't know, guys. This is just absolutely insane. That kind of a deal. I mean, if you were, let's say you've flown the Mini 4K and you've been impressed with that, this is something I would recommend you guys go for. I mean, if you're new to drones and you've just had your taste of a drone, say with the Mini 4K, this price is just absolute insanity. I mean, and it's a brand new. It's on Amazon. I mean, you cannot go wrong. Absolutely. Oh, Lauren gives us a little teaser here. Start mid next month. You will see why all these drones are on sale. Okay. Lauren has let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. Thank you, Lauren, for that. But that's going to be very interesting to see why. I have a sneaking suspicion about that. But yeah, very, very interesting. Okay, Droney. Okay, yeah. And at the time it was the best mini drone out there. I mean, bar none. And it's still a great drone. I mean, it really is. Michael Wright, welcome to see you too. Eddie Nunez, thank you, Eddie, for stopping by tonight. Appreciate that. And Johnny, that's exactly what I was going to say. We're going to be talking about that. Ron's going to be joining me here in a little bit. And this Lito line is going to be replacing. They're rebranding and reimaging and repackaging, and it's going to look probably a little different. The mini drones, and they're going to be calling them Lito. I mean, God only knows why DJI came up with the names that they came up with for all their drones, but mid next month. So we're looking mid-March. So we'll be having something very interesting. Thank you, Lauren and Johnny. That was on the spot. So that was very interesting. So stay tuned. You heard it first from our good friend Lauren. Mid next month. Okay. Be there or be square, and you'll know why all these drones are going on sale. So yep, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, Casey Cronfire. We're going to talk about that. Ron's going to join me. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But there was another article today on Drone DJ. Wanted to go over with you guys. And let me go ahead and share that here, okay? Apparently, HoverAir X1 Pro and Pro Max drones get smarter winter tracking. Evidently, there was a firmware update version 8.3.8 for the HoverAir X1 Pro and the X Pro Max, along with updates for the Beacon and the Hover X1 app. The update is arriving gradually via OTA, so if it hasn't hit your device yet, it should show up within the next few days. Dolly track gets steadier. That's one of the things that they've done. More controls inside ski mode, whatever ski mode is. Beacon update mirrors the changes. So if you have a HoverAir X1 or an X1 HoverAir X1 Pro or Pro Max, these updates would apply to you. And I mean, it sounds like a great update, especially in winter. Oh, Dale's John, welcome. Thank you for stopping by tonight. I appreciate that. So yeah, so if you have that, then you know about these updates, and they do look very interesting here. It does say the company says tracking performance and smoothness have been improved, which is especially important in winter scenarios where uneven terrain, bulky clothing, and fast directional changes can trip up less refined tracking systems here. So, so they've improved the tracking on it, which good for them that they put out this update. And hopefully for those of you that have it, it'll help you track better, especially in winter, because I know that can be a real headache and a hassle if you're going out there, because especially dealing with the snow, because the snow is very reflective and it bounces off and it hits the drone. And, and I think that was some of the problem that DJI had with some of the earlier follow me's. I know with the Spark, it would lose that connection very quickly for the slightest of reasons. And, but I did get it to track Valerie and I and our dog walking down the block and coming back. It followed us. So, for a good, I would say minute and a half, 2 minutes. So that was good before it lost connection. So that was pretty good for back in the day. But, there's a lot of things that to mix in the equation. That has to be some pretty good software to be able to do something like that. So, so that was a great update from them. Now, speaking of a great update, and the Mavic 4 Pro just got a firmware update, and I'm trying to share my screen here. Okay. DJI Mavic 4 Pro gets smoother control with latest firmware patch. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to share with you guys, you'll get these where it says, miscellaneous things were improved, blah, blah, blah kind of stuff. Still do that because you're still getting part of this package. And part of this package right here, all right, DJI rolled out a new firmware update on Mavic 4 Pro, focusing on smoother flight control, a more refined low battery return to home strategy, and fixes for a handful of known issues. On paper, that may sound routine in practice. It's a kind of turning that can make a premium drone feel even more confident, predictable, and polished, especially during longer flights and demanding shots, okay? The update brings the aircraft firmware to v01.00.0500, along with matching updates for DJI's remote controller and the DJI Fly app. While DJI doesn't go into your granular detail, optimized flight control experience typically translates to more stable handling, improved responsiveness to stick routes, stick inputs, and fewer micro corrections when hovering or tracking a subject. For creators who fly in tight spaces or rely on repeatable cinematic movements, these small refinements matter here. Equally important is the updates work on the low battery return to home behavior. Mavic 4 Pro is already known for its long endurance, but smarter decision-making near the end of a flight can reduce stress when you're pushing range, flying in wind, or finishing a shot as battery levels drop. A better tuned return strategy means fewer surprises and fewer moments where pilots feel rushed to bring the drone home. And here's Ron. Hey, Ron, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Bill. How are you tonight?
Doing good. We're going to do Steelers/Super Bowl Nation coming up at the top of the hour, and got some news about the offensive coordinator, which I was kind of surprised at. But talking about the update,
the Mavic 4 Pro firmware update. Bill, I've done the update, but because of my weather, I haven't got a chance to actually fly it yet. But I have done the updates.
Well, my friend, we're both in the same boat because this weekend, Saturday was brutal. It got down into the 40s almost in the evening and hit mid 20s at night. And
what did the Florida? What did the I'm gonna call it the native Floridians do? Did they they must have gone into hibernation, huh?
Well, we went out, we covered some of our plants outside. We have a nice hibiscus out there that covers our generator. And Valerie went out there and used a tarp and some like hand weights to cover it up. We bought some plant tarps and they're going to be coming a little later. But on Sunday, they had the Stadium Classic here where the Buccaneers play. And that was the Lightning was playing the Bruins. And it was like a game up north. It was ideal for the game. But it was brutal because the wind chill dropped that down probably into at least single digits. I mean, it was just brutal on Sunday evening out there.
Wow.
I mean, the wind was upwards. I was going to try to fly on Sunday. It was sunny out earlier in the morning, but the wind aloft was like gusting from 50 to 55 miles an hour. It was horrible.
So you felt like you were back in Pittsburgh, huh?
Oh, I was just saying at the top of the hour, I said it kind of felt like we were back in Ohio the way the weather was this weekend. I mean, it was just, you didn't want to do anything. We went out grocery shopping, came back, and that was it. We didn't go out the rest of the day. No, didn't even venture out.
Well, I mean, I'm more than I'm about 10 days past the snow and ice storm. I'm still chipping ice, Bill. I mean, I'm not even close to done. I'll be chipping ice until it hits 50 degrees. I think next week we got a 50-degree day coming.
Well, yesterday morning when I went out to Starbucks, there's usually condensation on the windshield, so I'd ran the wipers. It wasn't coming off. Then I realized something. It was frost on the windshield.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was good. And it's like, and I'm like, okay, all right, that's okay. I can kind of deal with that,
Yeah, to a Pittsburgh boy like you, that's just a nice spring day, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I do have to say this, after you've moved to Florida and, you get acclimated to the climate and everything here, you change, and I would have to think part of your blood chemistry changes as well. And, also too, part of it, what I tell other people is, when it's 40 degrees, it really feels like it's 30 because there's so much moisture in the air down here.
Right.
I mean, that's just kind of the way things are.
But grow up in Pittsburgh. I'm a PA too. I'm down near Philly, but to say this is probably the same thing for you. We could see some snow on April Fool's Day. I've seen snow on April Fool's Day before.
Well, I've seen snow when I lived up in Ohio years ago in May. We had it as late as May one year. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just
all right. I guess we better get off Weather Nation here before we lose it.
Yeah, before the natives get restless. And you missed the breaking news, okay? And I don't know if you saw this or not. Lauren, I had posted about the Mini 3 being on sale.
Yes.
He said you'll find out why mid next month why all these drones are on sale.
Oh boy.
So we had some breaking news dropped by our friend Lauren to us. So
how good of a sale is the Mini 3 on, Bill?
They went down. It was knocked off $144 off the base price on the one with the N1 controller, and then $100 with the RC2 controller, and then it was another $100 off the Fly More.
Now, are these the lowest prices ever, Bill?
I believe so. Yeah,
because the Mini 4K, they hit the lowest prices ever, better than Black Friday or anything. So this falls in this line too. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's like. And I said as tempting as something like that is, I mean, I'm thinking of a couple of things. Obviously, the 360, and obviously, and we're going to talk about it here coming up, the Lito, which we did get some information on here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we get to that, and I think you guys probably talked about this last week, but there was an article out there about it, and I wanted to bring it up today. Is anti-gravity A1 drone gets first ever discount with new flight simulator feature. And
yeah,
and I watched you guys, and you guys
it's 15% off. I think every package, Bill.
you know,
So the cheapest package is down to like $13.50 now, the single battery one combo.
and it's still run. I mean, you know, I know there's a cost involved with like goggles. I mean, they're probably more expensive.
That's at least $500 of the cost, Bill.
Yeah, it's more expensive probably than the drone is. Okay, and you know, it's really I think the price is really kind of turning people off from the drone. I mean, you know, besides the reviews have not been very favorable towards the drone.
Well, I mean, a lot of the influencers that got the drone a couple months ago for free, all of them were pretty favorable of it. So, but those people have never made follow-up reviews, though, unfortunately.
That's true. That's very true. And you know, I have to say, you know, I think what happened in this instance, I think they rushed this out before it was ready, really fully baked, Ron. And it really because you know, I don't think it was thoroughly beta tested by some of the influencers out there. Well, you know, they didn't even really give it to them. You know, they had them come out to a location and fly it, and you know, they let them keep the SD card and get their footage.
Yeah.
And you
But
know,
they all really got the drone in November and put out full videos in November, not those first looks they did in August. So
yeah. So
and off subject a little bit here, they just the anti-gravity just released a like a firmware update today or yesterday that added a what do you call that, where you can practice flying at home? They added a simulator.
Yeah.
You could run through the goggles or whatever, so you could practice at home.
Yeah, exactly. Here now, you know, we're going to talk about right now. You know, I wanted to spend a couple of minutes here, and it was real interesting because you know I was kind of looking for this information, and then I found it out on Drone DJ is the DJI Lito, okay, and I wanted to spend some time on that. Now I got you know, we're gonna look at the article first, and then I'm gonna show some other pictures that I have.
And this story, the Lito's been around for months now, Bill. This is
it's not
this kind of went dead for a while, and now it's getting some life again. But we first heard about this, I'm going to say, as far back as November.
Now, what's interesting, you know, and I want to start off the conversation with this, and I'm sure you're aware of this. There's two models, and both of them have been approved by the FCC. So when it gets released, we can get these. All right. Yes. I just want to be square and upfront with everybody on that. So
the same way we get our other drones now through third-party sellers.
Exactly here. Okay. And you know, and here's the FCC information right here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I went out and I looked out on X to take a look and see, and then I'm going to go ahead and share that right now. No, okay, I have it here. Okay, I found it out on X, and I went ahead and put this up here out on the Facebook group here. Okay, and you know it FC's filings reveals DJI Lito 1 and Lito X1, likely Mini 4K, Mini 5 Pro successors, filed November, December 2025. Expected February, April launch, 3:30 to 7:59. Omnidirectional obstacle avoidance in 20 kilometers range. U.S. availability still uncertain. Plot twist: DJI Lito and X1 declared just before the U.S. ban, so they could still hit U.S. stores. Expected to replace the Mini 4K Pro. I mean, and they're showing pictures of the Mini 5 Pro here, obviously. So, and then Lauren told us that, you know, the reason that these mini drones are on sale is we'll find out next month. So obviously what, you know, he's being a harbinger of the truth here, which, you know, we're going to be seeing that next month. So it's going to be rebranded. It's, you know, it would be like taking the Mavic series and renaming it something else. And this is what DJI is doing. Now, Ron, you know, I don't know why they're doing something like this. The Mini name was fine. I mean, there was no angst. People weren't uptight about it or anything. And they're going to this. Now, you know, they did some research and did some market research on this name, and apparently the name has a meaning. I don't know what it is. I didn't look it up, but I mean, what are your thoughts about that? I mean,
Bill, could it be that they're saving this Lito name for what I call the dumbed down versions of the original drones? Like, maybe like a Mini, when the Mini 6 comes out, maybe that'll still be under the Mini category. But when they put the dumbed down, or what do you want to call it, knockoff of the other drones, they'll put that in the Lito category. You see what I'm saying, Bill?
Yeah, that's very possible, Ron. I think you're right on that score. It's
so you kind of know, if you go to DJI's Lito section, you'll be looking at some, we'll say, budget type drones.
Right.
You won't be paying top dollar in the Lito line. So that kind of makes sense for shoppers, that they'll have a line of drones that are more affordable, more fits their budget, more than buying the latest flagship drone from DJI in any category, whether it be Mini, Air, or Mavic. And
right. And I think what you'll probably find, you're going to be finding, you'll have less features on it. Okay. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles. It won't, it won't be able to, do,
maybe they'll take waypoints away or something.
Right. Some of these features that'll be on there, it won't have. Now, it did say omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, which lends itself to, 360. So that's a good thing. But it may not, and it said it already, it's talking about range and runtime and things like that. I've seen some things about that, and it really doesn't look to be a whole lot different. But I think probably what they're going to do is they might not offer things like fly more combos or things like that, and may only come with a base controller. They may not have like an RC2 with that.
Sometimes they don't give you 60 frames per second at 4K on these budget drones. They take that.
Yeah. It may be a dumbed down camera. It may not have all the bells and whistles that like the Mini 5 Pro has as far as the cameras go. Because the camera on the Mini 5 Pro is exceptional. I mean, I rank that up there with the Air 3S. I mean, it does a great job. I mean, it's crisp, it's clear. You don't have to touch anything. It comes out great every time.
It does.
So I kind of think, and not everybody needs, the different settings. 4K 60 frames per second, to me, I think it applies for me, and 90% of the video I shoot is going to be in 4K 60. Okay, because it's crisp, it's clear, and it really fits the flying patterns that I do. I don't go really off the wall with that kind of thing. But for others want 4K 30. Others want to change it out and do it. I mean, that's your prerogative to do that.
Hey, Bill Lauren's got a comment. He's second comment from the bottom here. It's relevant to what we're talking about.
Oh, the
change will be internal, using similar electronics as the flip, more capability.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Appreciate that. That's really that's really interesting. Casey Crime Fighter, aren't we all? It's like, okay, the Lito's coming out, and then really, the Avata. I mean, we're kind of waiting on the Avata 360.
You think we'll see the Lito drones before the Avata 360?
I think so, Ron, because we didn't hear anything from Lauren about that. So, Lauren, unless that's part of this mid-March release,
the Lito may beat the 360 and the Pocket 4 to marketplace.
Yeah, from what we're seeing though on the Pocket 4, and I got something on that as well too.
I didn't mean to rush the story if you're still on.
No. I mean, we're still kind of continuing this here.
Bill, any guesses for starting price points for the Lito drones?
They did say here, and I'll bring this back up again,
because with these type of drones, price point is the most important feature, right, Bill?
Right. Now they're talking $330 to $759.
So the $330 for the Lito 1 and the $759 would be more the Lito. What is it? Lito X, Lito 2, whatever the other one is.
Yeah, the Lito 1 and the Lito X1. So we'll find out. I mean, I think probably what you're gonna get with this, and and I don't know, Lauren, if you can comment on it or not. They may only have like one controller with that. They may not have an RC2 with it, because when you add things onto that and you offer different packages, it's going to increase the cost of the drone itself. Whether or not, even if you buy the base unit, it's still going to be higher in price, but I think they can knock down, so that they can lower the price on things like that when they have, when they're only offering one controller with it. Okay. So I don't know. I mean,
plus it makes sense, Bill. If you're trying to save money or whatever, you're a budget shopper and you look at a Lito 1, why would you pay extra money why would you pay more money for the controller than you would the drone?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Like you say, you're shopping for cars, you're buying the cheapest car in the lot. You don't go out and put the best tires on it or whatever, so yeah, that all makes sense.
Yeah. So we'll see. And Lauren, thank you for the input. You
see his latest comment. I know nothing. Schultz.
I know nothing, Schultz.
So,
yeah. So, but I wanted to follow that up here I wanted to talk about the Pocket 4, because again, that's something else that I've gotten a lot of questions about.
And that's been on the rumor list going way back to November, even October.
Yeah, exactly here.
And we know it's FCC approved, so we know it's coming to the US. We just don't know when.
The Pocket 4 launch has been delayed from its anticipated January release to a newly expected time frame of late February to April. The delay is reportedly due to unfinished accessories, with the standard model likely arriving first, and a Pro version with a dual camera system potentially delayed until May or June 2026. Now that's per AI, okay? Key details on the delay, new timeline. The announcement is expected to be February to March, with some potential for early April. The delay is attributed to refined next generation accessories not being ready. Models reports indicate a standard model and an advanced Pro version featuring a dual lens, wide plus telephoto system. Status, despite the delay, Pocket 4 stock has reached retailers in China as of February 1st, 2026. So go figure that out. So, who knows on all this?
Right now. I mean, some reports even say that the Pro may be canceled, maybe until next year. That we may not see the Pro this year.
Exactly. And, it's just because this one's been out of all of them, which I really find interesting, Ron, during the week. I always get a lot of questions during the week. I got a lot of questions about the Pocket 4. Apparently, the Pocket 3 really spiked a lot of interest with people in the Pocket camera series, and they're really anticipating the Pocket 4. And I think the thing that you really want to look for here is, I think the Pocket 4 is going to be great. Number one, if you want to get a Pocket camera, get the Pocket 3. They're on sale. They're a great price, and it works really well.
And the funny thing, Bill, on the Pocket 4, they're touting a 1-inch sensor as like one of the big selling points. Well, the Pocket 3 had a 1-inch sensor, so how are they touting that as one of the big features?
Yeah, Ron, that's a $60,000 question. I wish I had an answer for it.
How often can you tout a 1-inch sensor? Like, are they going to tout a 1-inch sensor on the Mini 6 or whatever? What's already got it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like what different points here. They do this marketing, and it really kind of doesn't make sense because you're doing this. It has the same thing on it as the previous model. So, I mean, what you do is you get people amped up. You get people excited over a point on a product, and then people do some research and find out, you know what, the previous model had that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very typical. I mean, from being in retail, that's the manufacturers play that game all the time and get people interested in product when the previous product had it, and it's probably on sale here as far as that's concerned. So, but it's real interesting. I would wait. Now, if I were looking at a Pocket 4, okay, I would wait until that Pro version would come out and take a look at that before I would make a decision. I wouldn't go out there and be an early adopter and, have money burning a hole in my pocket.
Especially if you already have a Pocket 3.
Right. If you already have a Pocket 3, wait until the Pro comes out. Take a look at both of them and decide. From all I'm seeing, that Pro sounds like a great combination. I mean,
it does, but of course, it's not much of a pocket camera though, with that big two-headed gimbal on top. So
yeah, it's going to be.
If you buy the Pocket because it fits in your pocket, the Pro may not be for you.
Exactly. And that's a great point, Ron. I mean, it's going to be a little bulky. I mean, unless you have cargo pants and can fit them in your car, in one of those
Big
slots in
cargos.
your
Yeah,
pants.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's gonna be it for that. So it's not gonna, it's not really gonna fit that. But I mean, it's. I personally, if you're anxious about it, wait. It's not gonna do you any harm. Okay, and obviously, and the other thing is, and I want to say this out there as a general blanket thing. All right, when new products get released like this, and say like when the Lito gets released and when the Avata 360 gets released, don't go out to eBay and buy them right away, because what you're going to be doing, you're going to be paying an inflated price from one of the sellers over in China or Korea or Japan. Don't do it. Wait at least a week. And I know I had some people here in the chat tell me, Bill, thank you for telling me for waiting a week. That price went down $100. And that's, and see, that's what it is. You don't have to
I
have.
saved $100 on my Neo 2 combo by waiting like about 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I did too. I said I shopped it, and then I said, you know what? I put the brakes. I waited a week, and I took a look, and I saved $75. I mean, just like that. I mean, It was easy as that. So
just because you don't want early adopters always pay the most. I mean, when DJI sold them directly, it didn't matter because the price was the price. It wasn't going to fluctuate like the stock market. But now that it's sold through third-party vendors, it's like the stock market, Bill. It fluctuates daily, but generally it goes down as more units become available for sale out there.
Exactly.
The old, demand thing. The more become available, the lower the price goes.
Exactly here. Now, I did want to go ahead, and I know we talked about this last week, and I still want to bring this up because, again, this is something that a lot of people are still kind of confused on, and I want to kind of clear the air here. Is yes, your DJI drone can still get firmware updates. FCC confirms. Okay, and the language, and I did do some looking through here. Okay, and you can read the article. It's posted in the group, and we went over the article in detail last week. But one of the things that I did want to point out is this. Okay, is that right now, okay, through January, it doesn't list a specific day in January, so I would assume January 31st, okay, or January 1st, who knows? Just assume January 1st for all intents and purposes. You'll be able to get firmware updates for your DJI drones up until that point in time, okay? And as we also stated too, and Ron pointed this out, and I think he said it on Drone Nation and also last week on Rotor Talk, is that, in a year's time, your drone, take a look and see, for example, like the Air 3S. There hasn't been that many updates for the Air 3S lately, okay? And it's been out over a year, all right? So when you get to a point of a year or so, you're seeing fewer and fewer firmware updates. And anytime you would probably see one, it would be one of those ones that fixes known bugs and issues kind of a thing, okay? Nothing that's really super critical to the drone's performance or flight and capabilities, but they publish it anyway. And what I'm saying is, I think after January 1st, and one of the other things that I had a lot of people bring up to me, Ron, was the fact, okay, all right, they say that DJI drones are a national security threat, yet they're allowing firmware updates to these DJI drones up until January of next year. I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's and I got that question, and I literally had a lot of people ask me that, and I said, you know what? I said, I don't know, to be honest with you. Okay, there's some, as my dad used to say, monkey shine going on here, and there's a lot going on. I think that, Ron, there's a lot going on behind the back that we don't know about. Okay, and I think there's going to be something. I don't know. Trump is meeting with Xi. It's coming up in March. Who knows? I know they're going to be talking about trade agreements and other things, and so forth. But I think, as we discussed before, I think the one thing that I think all of us would really like to see is them repeal that Uyghur Act, and be able to get drones flowing freely from China into the United States from DJI directly.
Yeah, in other words, you can order directly from DJI again, and Amazon would start selling well, DJI would start selling Amazon. Joe Noki makes a good point that we mentioned last week too. That whole thing from the FCC, they say at least January or whatever. So so that's not even firm. You say at least January.
Yeah, and and here's what I'm thinking, Ron. I'm thinking, you know what? They're probably just going to say, we'll let you do your firmware updates.
Probably as long as they don't add new features, because that would be improving the product beyond, say, the FCC approval. But if they were just bug fixes and security patches or whatever, I don't see why they would have a problem with it. And of course, we don't know the mechanism for how they're going to stop these updates anyways, because even if they could somehow stop them on the phone, we've all talked about, well, you just put your computer on. You just make your computer think it's in some other country in the U.S. and you download it.
Yeah, you use a
through the desktop firmware or whatever.
Yeah,
so I don't know their plan on stopping it.
Yeah, you can use a VPN. They're super easy to get, and use DJI Assistant 2 for consumer drones, and boom, you're done. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Yeah, I mean, they could. I guess they could do something to the app, but I don't know how they're going to stop it anyways. But Rollins says, suspect they left it open because many federal departments are still using DJI drones. Yeah, good point, Lauren.
That's a good point, Lauren. That's a very good point.
So, I mean, when we said last week, we get closer to January next year, maybe we'll have a better idea what's going. But right now, I wouldn't even worry about it. And we said this too. When it gets to the point where a product's older and is only getting the bug fixes and security patches, heck, sometimes they bring more issues than they solve. Maybe you're better off, again, at some point, when your drone is flying perfectly, you don't have any issues, anything, you just lock it down yourself. They say, well, that's it. I'm turning firmware updates off or whatever.
And, a lot of people, and I'm going to bring something from the ham radio side of things for me. A lot of people, we get firmware updates pushed to ham radios. This is one of the things. It's a really hot topic, and I have a tendency to avoid them. Okay, I go from they'll be saying it's going to add this and this and this and this and this, which what, I could really kind of care less what these features that they're adding. My radio's working fine. A ham radio it can be as easy or as complicated as you want to make it. But in a lot of instances, there's a lot of moving parts and menus and things, and you don't really want to monkey around. Because I've known a lot of guys who've gone in and done a firmware update and they brick their radio. Okay, and we're talking sometimes a $1,200, $2,600, or $5,000 radio gets bricked because they do a firmware update. All right, and that's one of the things
I'll give you another example, Bill. Apple updated Final Cut Pro, not just a little update. They updated to 12.0, right? That's great. Added some new features or whatever. But guess what? I've done this before. I've upgraded, and then I did compatible with something other. I'm going to sit back at least a month before I upgrade that Final Cut on my computer because it's working perfectly for me now. It has a couple new features that I may or may not use. So I never upgrade an important piece of software on my computer until it's been out for a while, until it gets that point one bug fix update that comes out, about a month later.
And I do the same thing with DaVinci Resolve because they pushed something, and I love DaVinci Resolve, Ron. It's fantastic. It's been working great for me for years. But the one thing that I don't do is I'm exactly like you. I let it go at least a month, maybe two, and I go on and I look. And where the best place, where I find the best advice on that is on Reddit. Okay, believe it or not, that's where a lot of the real hardcore users are out there. Yeah. And I subscribe to a thread out there on on new firmware updates for DaVinci Resolve, and everybody does like I do. I hold back for at least a month or more. It's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of a thing, especially with that, because there's so many moving parts to like Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve. You don't want to go in there and screw something up, and all of a sudden you had something that's working for years and it's not working, and you don't want to go there. You just don't want to do that.
Yeah. So again, I don't see this not getting firmware updates as a big a disaster as some people do. Maybe I'm overlooking something, but. No. No.
Everybody, yeah,
Yeah.
Lauren's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Well,
right
you
on
could
this
make that
one.
even bigger, Lauren. You could say we're all software beta testers in any operating system, any device.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the gig with that. But I want to make sure we don't know what's coming up. And I got asked about this as well too. Do you think something's going to happen when Trump meets with G? I said, you know what? I said at this point, who knows? Okay, there's been no rhyme or reason in figuring things out this year. He may see them more favorable, and he may start allow goods. Cut the tariff business out. May allow the Uyghur and get rid of that. So we will allow the flow of not only
They may not talk about any of that. Who knows?
or it may be
We
completely
can probably
off
figure
the
out the
table.
Pittsburgh Steelers draft plans better than we can what's going to go in that conference.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's kind of where that's at. So I mean, it's one of those.
I
things.
mean, hopefully something good for drones comes out of that conference, but I wouldn't be banking on it, Bill.
No, I think you're right, Ron. I really do think you're right. And we've kind of reached the point in the show. I got the same graphic up from last week here. Is Steeler head coach Mike McCarthy Nation and also Super Bowl Nation. First of all, Ron, your Super Bowl pick. Who we got?
I last night we know Seattle's a 4.5 point favorite. They were last night, and the over under in the game's like 45.5 points. I'm going with the Seahawks. I mean, they've been one of the most impressive teams all season long. Now the Patriots had a great season too. Both teams are 14-3. But what sticks in my craw a little bit, Bill? The Patriots, they did go on the road last weekend, but they played a Denver Bronco team that was playing a backup quarterback that had very little experience. And that backup quarterback was playing better than their quarterback for at least half the game. And they only won by 3 points. And the Denver kicker missed a makeable field goal in his own home stadium. So a lot went right for the New England Patriots that they didn't really control themselves. Meanwhile, Seattle went out and beat what I consider the most dangerous team in the playoff, the LA Rams, who were great on best offensive team in the playoffs, good defense, but their Achilles heel was their special teams, and it bit them with that like a muff punt last week that led to a score. So their Achilles heel got them, and so I'm going with Seattle. But I mean, but rooting wise, I may be pulling for the Patriots.
Well, I kind of think I agree with you. I think, and I like your synopsis of things. I think New England had a lot of things go right for them this year to get to the Super Bowl. And I heard a quote, and I don't know if Rich Eisen or one of the other talking heads said this. It's like, this isn't Tom Brady's Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's New England Patriots, okay? Meaning it's a completely different animal. It's completely different. Now, granted, Mike Vrabel is a fantastic. I loved him when he was at Ohio State, when he played for the Steelers, and he rose up through the ranks, and now he had some
good years at Tennessee before things went bad.
Yeah, he did well there. He proved his worth, and he's done a great job. But I think all is said and done, Seattle just gets it done, gets the job done, and they do a great job. And and I have to say this, that was probably the Seattle and the Rams game was probably the best game in the playoffs. By far. To me, it was one of the most exciting games in the playoffs.
Where the Patriots Denver game, that was for diehard football fans only.
Yeah, the weather had a factor in that game as well too.
But it still wasn't much offense going on even the first half when the weather was good. So
yeah, so I mean, it really, it's like, and that's it's kind of been, and I hate to use this, it's like, New England's offense, you kind of like want to fall asleep sometimes.
I mean, they scored all those points in the Houston game, but a lot of that was because Houston was turning the ball over.
There were turnovers with that. So now the big news out of for Steeler head coach Mike McCarthy Nation is they had a fantastic candidate coming in for offensive coordinator, and he bowed out.
Oh no!
And I don't know a whole lot more than that, but he bowed out. So. And, the other rumor that's been really strong, and it's been going around Twitterverse, is that supposedly Aaron Rodgers went up to Rooney and told him, said, you know what? You bring Mike McCarthy in, I'll stay for another season.
Wow.
That's what a lot of people are saying with that. And I was like, you know what? Aaron Rodgers, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, okay? And in his prime, he was one of the best, all right? He's 42 years old, all right? You're going to get a 42-year-old quarterback again. You might get 8, 9, 10 wins from this 42-year-old quarterback.
He may be a little bit less effective than he was last year.
Exactly, okay? Slow down a little bit. The thing that goes first on quarterbacks is their legs. They don't have that speed anymore, and it gets them into trouble, and they can't get out of situations.
And the other teams know it too.
Exactly, okay? And, all of a sudden, and one of the things, everybody's expecting, all this stuff from Mike McCarthy, and I've said, you know what? People, number one, they're going to need to be patient with him, all right? But they're going to kind of put him on. I would say he's not going to have too long of a leash. But you have to realize, he's inherited a defense, the highest paid defense in the NFL, which is ranked near the bottom in every category and ranked lower in a lot of categories than the Raiders, which have a horrible defense. Okay. So, there's a lot of improvements that need to be made to the Steelers. And
has he hired a defensive coordinator yet?
I was taking a look for that today, and I didn't see anything about that. I saw
he's an offensive guy, McCarthy. So the defensive coordinator probably pretty much be his own boss or whatever. McCarthy's not going to have
it's not going to
over that defense.
And that's exactly, it was the opposite with Tomlin and Terrell Austin. He was over him. He was looking over his shoulder probably the entire game. Actually felt sorry for him. The other thing, which is real interesting is, Ron, is that Mike Tomlin, a week after he left the Steelers, he went down. His daughter's at the University of Georgia. He went down. Somebody photographed him there. He was at a gymnastics meet where she was competing, and that's been it. Nobody's seen or heard anything from him at all. Zero, nothing. And Rooney said in his press conference that the Tomlin for the time being is not going to go after another head coaching job. So, there's been a lot of speculation he would go after a announcer's position in the broadcast booth, but there's been no word about that whatsoever. It's kind of been pretty quiet. I mean, the hiring that McCarthy's done, he's done a lot of like secondary coach, quarterback coach, strength and training, coaches, that kind of thing, special teams coach. It's really kind of been the ones that outlay on the periphery, and I'm real interested to know who they're going to do for defensive coordinator, who they're going to do for offensive coordinator, because it's going to really gear how that team works. And the other thing is, the quarterback situation. If Rodgers doesn't come back, what do they do? Are they going to start? What's his name?
A lot of people think Will Howard's the time they should give him the first shot.
That's what a lot of people were saying that too. But they wouldn't have a choice. They'd have to start Mason Rudolph. Ron, Mason Rudolph is a great backup quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback.
Right. Okay. So, and if you put Will Howard in for 17 games, you're probably not making the playoffs this year. I mean, even if he does have the potential, since he didn't play at all, it's going to be like a rookie year, and he's going to struggle.
Well, I go back and because I remember the game, I was watching it when this quarterback wearing number 7, who graduated from Miami University of Ohio, stepped in for a game where Tommy Maddox got hurt against the Baltimore Ravens, and he almost led that team to a victory. Okay, and that was Ben Roethlisberger. Mm-hmm. And then the next week, they played the Dolphins down in Miami, and the field was like, it was a quagmire. It had rained. It was horrible down there. And they won. They won that game, and it really kind of started him on his roll from there on out. But I mean,
of course, I haven't seen Will Howard play a professional football game yet. Maybe nobody else probably has either. He could be the best rookie quarterback of all time. So I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I'm just coming off. He's got good reports coming out of college. He's a nice resume, but nothing in his resume says he's going to be the best rookie quarterback of all time, but it could happen. And Joe Noki points out in the chat that Brady was 43 years old, 188 days old when he won his last Super Bowl. And that is true, but Tom Brady was the best older football player of all time. You can dispute the best quarterback of all time, but you can't dispute the best older quarterback of all time. From 35 years and older, Tom Brady was the best quarterback of all time is not even close, right, Bill?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Maybe you could. Some people may say Montana is better, and you could argue. Bill, something popped up in my mind. We talked about this before with the Steelers. The Steelers seem to be building teams. A lot of other teams do the same thing. They build a team to get a winning record, and just barely get in the playoffs. Right? That's kind of been the thing for the last 5 years. Where you look at these playoffs. Okay, look at Seattle. They were number 1 seed. So they had to bye the first week, but still, even with that bye, they had to come in. Well, first of all, they had to beat the Rams the last game of the season to get the division number 1 seed. So they had to beat a winning team to do that, Bill. Then they had to get in the playoffs, and they had to beat 2 winning teams. The Rams, and who did they beat the round before?
49ers.
So they had to beat 2 winning teams in a row, plus the last game of the season is a winning team. Now they got to play another winning team to win the Super Bowl. So they had to play basically four winning teams in a row if they want to win the Super Bowl. New England, same thing. New England wasn't number 1 seed, so they had to play. If to win a Super Bowl, that'll mean they have to beat 4 teams with winning records in a row to get there. And that's what we're talking about. The Steelers the last couple of years, they'd have no chance of beating 4 winning teams in a row at any point, right, Bill?
Well, they would be lucky to win the first game in the playoffs, okay? And
let alone win 3 more games against teams with winning records.
Yeah, it's been 9 years since they've won a playoff game. And, and some of these, and Ron, some of these losses have been horrible. I remember I went to the playoff game against Jacksonville in Pittsburgh, all right? The Steelers were up most of that game. Jacksonville scored a touchdown with like 30-some seconds left, okay? And you could feel the air rush out of Heinz Field. I mean, it got deflated like somebody popped a big balloon. I mean, people were just like, you got to be kidding me, okay? Yeah. They were up the whole game, and they lost in the last 30 seconds.
And to make the playoffs, I mean, it sounds impressive, and it was in the old days of the old 14-game schedules or whatever, and where there weren't any wild cards. But now, like, look at a team like Steelers. What do they do to get there? They're in division. They play the Browns twice. Say you could beat the Browns twice. You could beat the Bengals twice. You can split with Baltimore. Then you throw in a game against the Jets, the Giants, the Raiders. Well, you're most of the way to the playoffs, and you haven't beaten a good team yet, right?
Oh yeah, I mean your schedule is kind of padded when you're in, depending upon some of these divisions that you're in. Like the AFC North is like, except for you can't even really throw Baltimore in the mix right now, which is really kind of sad.
You could have, they're a team. Pittsburgh should have swept the division this year. They should have won. They didn't do it, but they should have swept the division this year.
Oh, absolutely. There shouldn't have been any question about it. And that game against Cincinnati was a joke against Flacco.
They did not look prepared that night. They weren't prepared.
No.
It's like they didn't even know Flacco was coming out there to play. They went up against a gunslinger, and they weren't ready.
And he took them to town. And it falls back to Tomlin. And Tomlin, a head coach, Ron, the head coach's primary job is to get his team ready to play each and every week. All right, period. So there's no ambushes. There's no surprises. When Flacco's doing what he's doing, we have a defense ready for it, okay?
Right.
They don't.
It's not like you don't have tape to show them on Flacco. There's probably more tape on Flacco than anybody around, right? There's plenty. You should show the tape. Okay, this is what this guy's capable of if you let him.
Exactly. Okay.
But back to the point, it's not that hard to just barely squeak into playoffs, but it's hard to win those 3 or 4 games in a row it takes to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it is. It's not like it used to be, Ron. Like
you have to build that team to be able to do that. Like, Seattle, they built a team. They have a strong running game. They have a star receiver, that Jackson, the guy with the 3 names. They brought in a quarterback that's had back-to-back 14-3 seasons. They have a really good defense, a good line. They laid the foundation. They have what it takes to get all the way through the playoffs. If the defense has an off game, they got the offense to score points. If the offense can't score even points, the defense can hold it down. Where lots of teams don't have that. They only have one way to win. If that doesn't work, they're in trouble.
Exactly. Okay, and it's one dimensional and poof, they're done. And, it's like, okay, Ron, the Steelers also, all right, I'm going to say this. There's no doubt to me they have one of the best, if not the best kicker in the NFL, okay,
Right.
with Boswell, all right? They rely on him. The past, I'm going to say 5+ years, they've relied heavily on him to win games for them, all right?
Well, remember that one game was last year where he scored every point in it. The only points he scored was his field goal.
There was no touchdowns for the Steelers. Yeah, they got all they won the game all on field goals. I mean, yeah, that I remember that. And Ron, you can't do that in today's NFL.
That'll cut it against Cleveland, Cincinnati in a regular season game, but it won't cut it in a playoff game.
Right. Or coming up against somebody, say like, playing against a Seattle or the Rams or the Eagles or something. You can't do that against these teams, these playoff caliber teams. You can't go out. You can't just do that. You're not going to win these games by field goals. All right. You got to play both sides of the ball, and you got to play it well. I mean, that's bottom line. So any thoughts to before wrapping up?
I forgot to mention that the Pro Bowl's on tonight. I think it's on ESPN now. The Pro Bowl, they don't actually play a game anymore. They have skill competitions and stuff, right, Bill?
Yeah, and I think they have a flag football game.
It's hard to understand, really, but I may tune in and watch a few minutes of it. I know it was a little controversial move last week. You know how the players are going to the playoffs, the Super Bowl. They don't play in the game, and like Shaheed Sanders of Cleveland, I think replaced Drake May or whatever in the game. So you have like Sanders, the only started 7 games in at the Pro Bowl already.
That's funny. That is just absolutely funny. Yeah, I may peek in on that myself. I think hockey season's over for us because the Panthers, they've lost 3 in a row against teams that they needed to win, and it's just and then we got it starting this Friday. Are the Olympics? Winter hockey, and there's no NHL hockey for 3 weeks. So good luck for those of us that have a hockey addiction. You're going to have to and see what I don't like about it. If the Olympics are in our time zone, that's great. But if it's over in Europe or Asia somewhere, you're either watching a tape delay, or if you want to watch it live, you're gonna have to watch, say, like at 3 a.m. or something like that. I mean, it's insane. It's ridiculous.
Right. So are these hockey games in Italy where the rest of the stuff is?
Yeah, and I think they've just finished, literally just last week finished the rink. I mean, there were the locker rooms as of 3 weeks ago weren't done yet. All right, it was a mess.
Wow,
it was a real mess. So
where do the Panthers sit in the playoffs right now?
Right now, they're currently 8 points out of a wild card slot.
Oh, wow.
And believe it or not, my Penguins, which I'm still following, they're having a banner year, which nobody expected, and they're in a position for play. But it's January, and we're looking and see. One of the big things for the Panthers though is they have 10 of their regular players out of the lineup with injuries. Ron, any team like that is going to get decimated. I mean, it's just hard. It's hard to put consistent games together. But who knows? People can get healthy. They can come back after the Olympics fresh and maybe with a good attitude. Who knows? But yeah, it's kind of like that's the way things are right now. So, any other thoughts before we wrap things up here?
No, just that I guess we have something to look forward to maybe next month with these Lito drones. I mean, coming out, because I kind of feel that we won't see either the Pocket 4 or the 360 drone in February. I think that we're looking more maybe late March, April timeline for those products right now. But so yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things. I know we all look forward to this stuff, but my Pocket 3 is doing a great job. If I don't have a Pocket 4, I'm still shooting amazing video. And the 360 drone, I don't know if I really need it or whatever. I have 360, camera, and I don't use it all that much. So these are products that, I'll definitely be interested to take a look at them, but they're not they're not automatic buys for me. They're not like, the minute they come out, I hit the buy button. These are definitely going to be sit back, look at the reviews, chew things over, see if I really need these products or I don't. So
exactly. And, and I agree with that 100%. The Pocket 4, I liked the Pocket 3, but I really didn't. I really found don't have a real good use case for a Pocket 3. An action camera, though, like the Action 5 that I have, that fits my bill 100% because
But I'm glad you brought this up. I forgot to bring this to Marcus last night because he said something similar. Why are we okay? I don't mean pick on you, but just in general,
no.
Why are we so concerned about a 3-axis gimbal on our drones, but yet we don't want it on our camera? We just want electronic image stabilization on our handheld cameras. Why don't we want the 3-axis gimbal on our handheld camera that match the 3-axis gimbal on our drones?
That's a fantastic point, Ron. It really
but I don't have an answer for that. And
no, I don't either.
You, but I'm not picking you because you said the same thing everybody else says. You know.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that either. So, and the thing I want to close with is this: I just found out I've lost way too many of my classmates from high school. We lost another one this week. He passed away from cancer. Just a solid the earth guy. I had many great conversations with him through the years on Facebook Messenger. Just a great guy. Loved his family. Loved the Lord. Just was good friends with everybody. Never said a bad or an unkind word. Always build others up. And it's really hard seeing that. So what I'm going to say is, to all of you out there, enjoy life each and every day. If you're married, tell your wife that you love her or have a significant other. Tell them that you love them. Spend time with your family. Spend time with your kids. Enjoy life. I mean, because it's very precious. And, we're granted this day, and that's all that we get. So, enjoy it for what it's worth. So everybody out there, have a great rest of your week. As always, it's a great day to fly. Take care, everybody. See you next week.